everybody, it's Jennifer Seeger and welcome back to my channel, The Seeger Stories. So today we are checking in on our 2022 goals. So if you watched my previous goal setting video, I talked about how I wasn't really great with resolutions and usually lost steam. And this year I thought I would try to break it up. And instead of just doing one resolution, or I'm calling it a goal or something that I want to learn or accomplish in this new year, that I would break them up and do them month by month. My goal being, in some months I want to, like I said, learn something new or accomplish a goal. And in some months I just want to work towards forming a new healthy habit, which I thought January really was. My goal for the month of January, where I actually had two. The first was I wanted to walk a minimum of 7,500 steps per day, and I tracked it on this calendar. You can see behind me I have this kind of yellowy, greeny, it was the closest I had to green color for the days that I hit my goal, and then the pink represents the days where I did not hit my goal. So we still have, as I'm filming this, 2 days left of the month, so we have the 30th and the 31st, but I'm confident that I can meet my goal on those 2 days. And I wanted to film a little early so I could announce kind of what our next challenge is moving into February before we get started, but I'll get to that in a minute. So the first January goal of hitting the steps went well. I gave myself, the reason that there are some red, I gave myself kind of an out. I feel like it's really hard to do something 100% of the time. So if I didn't hit the goal 100% of the month, I didn't want it to feel like a loss. I wanted it to be a positive thing, and so my goal was hitting my goal 80% of the month, which equated to, with 31 days of January, roughly 24 days, just use rounding or whatever, but 24 days out of the 30, or maybe it's 25 days out of the 30. I'm terrible at math. Then I wanted to hit my goal. I think it was 25. So basically I had a pass for 6 of the days, which I hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the days I did not hit my goal, and the rest of the days I did. So I'm considering it a win. Like I said, I have 2 more days to hit my goal in January, but I had consistently been about a 5,000 step person, and most of the days marked with green is where I was hitting my 5,000, and then I'd push myself just a little bit further. Now, I had a stretch goal where I wanted to hit every day in the month, and it just didn't happen. I am still feeling proud of what I accomplished. We had, just on a, I don't know if this is all a personal note, but on a different note, we had a tough January. Like, we had, everything broke, it seemed like. We had a car breakdown, our garage door quit working, even the handle to the vacuum, just the plastic handle, snapped. I felt like every time I turn around something was going on. Add that to, like, my work-life balance became non-existent for the first couple weeks in January. A couple of the red days are days that I worked until, like, from 8 o'clock in the morning to like 8, 9, one night 11:30 at night, just because I have a job outside the home, and I do human resources, and there's a lot of compliance things to hit in January, plus the COVID leaves that we were managing, and it was just like, it was a perfect storm of everything. So I did have some difficulty even on some of the days where I hit my goal, even getting there. But also I should say, we had a cold snap. So we had this, like, which is not uncommon in Minnesota in January, but we had this whole stretch of time where it was too cold to go outside. It was too cold to take the dog for the walk. So there were literally nights where I put in my AirPods, I was listening to an audiobook or a podcast, and just pacing the house, like seriously walking around. And it didn't take too many days until Nate and I purchased a treadmill, which came, I think, on January 8th. I think we ordered it just after a few days in January, thinking, how in the world are we gonna do this? Because Nate was kind of doing this along with me, but how in the world are we going to hit this goal unless we have, you know, something where we can walk, or we're gonna pace a hole in the floor? So we did get a treadmill. That is awesome, by the way. We got a Nordic Track, and it came with an iFit, so we've been kind of taking these different walking tours around different areas where you can walk along with this tour guide, and that's been really cool. There's different workouts to try, things like that. So we are absolutely loving that, and we really feel like the purchase of that equipment and doing this within the month of January has really formed a goal. It's really become part of our even daily vernacular, like I need to get my workout in, or I need more steps, or I need to walk. It's something that I really fully plan on taking with me for the rest of the year and continuing it to hit the goal as often as I can, again, aiming for 80% of the month, because that is a positive change. Now, the other goal that I wanted to hit in the month of January was to cut out sweets and sugar, again, 80% of the time, so the same amount of days. You do not see that tracked on my calendar behind me, and the reason is that if that was my goal, I failed. I failed epically, and that is hard to come on to an audience of people and say, hey, I said I was gonna do this and I didn't do it. I fell flat on my face. And I feel like it's a real thing, so I want to be very honest about it and what I learned from it. So I actually did pretty good. I quit tracking, full on quit tracking which days I was eating sweets around, I would say, the 9th or 10th of the month. I was pretty good. I only had sweets, I think 1, maybe 2 days before the 8th, and then we had this family event. There was cake, there was brownies. I indulged, and I just never got back on track. I know about myself, kind of an all or nothing person, and it was maybe too hard for me, and this sounds kind of silly, but it was harder to give myself freebie days. I feel like it would have been easier to say no sweets all month. Would have been easier for me to deal with. But what I learned from the experience, and like I said, I quit tracking, and I will say that outside of today, because it's about noon and I have not had any sweets, probably from the 9th or 10th, maybe even from the 8th until yesterday, I had a sweet or a treat every day. There's chocolate hanging around the house. I have chocolate at my work. Candy's available. There were still treats left over from Christmas. But also, what I think I learned is I had kind of suspected that I'm a stress eater, and I was very aware this month of how all the stress of, like I said, the things that we had breaking, all of the things going on at work, just the disintegration of my work-life balance for a couple weeks, all were triggers for me to reach for sweets or candy. And I don't think I even realized this until I was preparing for this video and trying to gather my thoughts, and just got really introspective, and I was like, yes, throughout all of that, my reaction is to reach for a sweet. So while I failed in my goal epically, I feel like it also made me self-aware of something, and really realizing, maybe for the first time in my life, that that is a trigger food for me when I am stressed out. It's what I reach for. Interestingly, I had just read this article talking about people that have like comfort foods or trigger foods in times of stress. They reach for those things, and they actually did a study, and I'm terrible at remembering details. So if I can find the article, I'll just link it below. You can go read it yourself, because I don't remember who conducted the study. Yeah, it's not coming to me. But basically what they did is, you know, they showed people these videos to get a rise out of them, to try to provoke anger, fear, anxiety, all these things. And then with some of the groups, they would give them comfort food. With some of the groups, they would give them things that they liked but were healthy for them. And with some, they would give them nothing. And what they found is that the people that had absolutely nothing, their stress, anxiety, all that stuff lessened in the same amount of time as those that were eating the foods. So what the point of the whole study is like, you have those feelings, and we think that we soothe them by eating our comfort foods and going through that, but the passage of time is really what is going to take away that stress or anxiety. So I'm getting a little off topic here, but I've kind of been just mulling these things around, thinking about them, and I feel like I've gotten to a good place of self-awareness, and I just thought that article was really interesting. Like I said, if I find it, I will go ahead and link it below, because I'm bad at remembering details like that. But anyway, so that was the month of January. Now, continuing on throughout the year, like I said, I want to hit the steps goal. I feel like it's something that we're forming a habit on. With the sweets, that's definitely going to be a focus again in the month of February, but I want to continue in my lifetime to be aware of stress and maybe just give myself some pause and some thought before I'm reaching for sweets and asking myself, you know, why I'm doing this. Am I stressed? And can I just let the passage of time lessen those feelings? I basically want to be enjoying those things for a special occasion rather than just cramming in the chocolate when it's stressful. So that's January anyway, and I want to move on in the rest of this video and talk about upcoming goals for February. So if, again, you've been following my channel, my husband Nate and I have done the Whole30 a few different times, and we did it about this time last year. We actually did a mini Whole30, which we called the Whole15 in the beginning of November, just this past year. And we do it, I think I'm gonna say, to give ourselves a little bit of a reset. So if you're not familiar, firstly, with the Whole30, it is based on this book by, I always forget their names, Dallas Hartwig and Melissa Hardwig. They founded this company or wrote this book and this whole philosophy on really eliminating foods that can be problematic. And I think the intention behind the diet is to find those foods that are causing maybe increased inflammation. You know, they've had just really big success stories with people with arthritis and things like that, finding relief. People reversing, you know, when they're on a track towards diabetes, things like that. So there's a lot of that goes into this diet. It's also understanding what maybe foods you're, I don't want to say allergic to, but you know, your reaction to different foods. For example, I've done this a few times. I have found that I do not have a good reaction to soy, particularly soy oils. When I go out and food in a lot of restaurants, the meats especially are cooked in soy, I don't do well. I tend to get an upset stomach from that. So it's really interesting. It's an elimination diet where you're cutting out alcohol, sugar, grains, legumes. I think I'm hitting the major categories. I'm gonna link this book below so you can look into it. But it is a pretty restrictive diet, and it isn't easy, nor is it pleasant, especially for the first week, maybe 2 weeks. But then, and this makes me laugh, the book is, they call it tiger blood. Then you have all this energy and you're feeling really good. And the goal is you do this for 30 days, and then after 30 days, there's a reintroduction period where you can identify those foods and see what you are more sensitive to, or what's maybe causing some health issues, problems, things like that for you. Sensitivities, I think that is the word that I'm looking for. Because Nate and I have done it, and we've done the reintroduction thing, and we've kind of identified our triggers, what we like about it is it's a reset for us. Now, the holidays are always tough. Like I said, in November, we did a Whole15 because we knew that it was gonna be too difficult. You know, we were hosting Thanksgiving, we flew right into Christmas. I did Vlogmas this year. That was a lot of crazy. Christmas always comes with sweets and treats and things, and for us, they seem to hang around the month of January. I was just talking to a friend of mine about this, where it seems like January, you know, there's that stuff hanging around. You wanna start eating healthy on like January 1, but there's a part of you that's like, I'm not gonna throw away perfectly good food. So you kind of like, start mixing in the healthy with the junk. And I feel like that's where we've been in the month of January. But now we are heading into February. February is 28 days. Obviously, this is the Whole30. We want to do the whole 30-day commitment to kind of clean up our diet and hit the reset button on how we are living our lives, basically, what we are eating. I know we've been eating out too much and things like that. So 28 days in February, we're tacking on January 31st and 30th, which is why I'm filming this today. On January 30th, it will be up on the 31st. And I'd love to have you join in with us. Leave me a comment below if you'd like to. I would love to even chat with you, coach you along, provide encouragement if you want to send me an email as well. My email address is always linked below, or you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook. I'll be sharing some of our meals, and I'll also plan on sharing some different videos along our journey, which I did on our last Whole30, and I'll link that playlist for you here. But that is our goal throughout the last couple days in January and all through February. We were just talking about it the other night. We're like, well, it's kind of good. It's a slow time of the year. There's not like carnivals and festivals and things to go to, and all these food festivals and things. And then we're like, Oh, but there's the Super Bowl. So I am definitely going to be sharing, because we're hosting some people over for the Super Bowl. So we're going to have a whole 30 Super Bowl party. So stay tuned to my channel for some of that stuff coming up. But I'm excited about this. I know Nate's excited about this. We both feel like it's coming at a time where we really need to reset, refresh, and really focus on eating good food to nourish our bodies. And while it's tough at first, we both really love that feeling where, like I said, tiger blood, you have tons of energy and you're feeling really good. And we just are really looking forward to hitting that date and then continuing to carry those things forward throughout the year. We all slip up and slide back into those bad habits, and I feel like we slid really far this December with all that we had going on. So that is the first goal that we are looking at in the month of February. The second goal that we just actually decided last night, because I was like, oh, Whole30 is a big deal. Do we want to do something else? And this is funny. So we went to our church. Last night was Saturday. We went to our Saturday night church, and the sermon series, we go to Eaglebrook Church in Minnesota, and the series that they're doing right now is called Normal Isn't Working. And there was actually a lot of talk about parenting, limiting screen times, you know, not just doing, you know, like letting your kids do things because the other kids are doing things. Like that was kind of one of the themes within the message of bringing your family back to a God-centered life. And if you're interested in that, I will link that video below as well, because our church does do online church if you want to check out the sermon. But it got us thinking, and we were talking about it after the service. Like we don't have kids right now, and we're thinking about the screen time thing, and what they said as part of that message, you know, don't be afraid to limit screen time, but parents, that means you'll have to limit screen time too. And we were talking about it. We're like, wow, we are on our screens. And especially in these long winter days, it is, well, short winter days, long winter nights, I should say. It is easy to come home, you make dinner, you clean up dinner. Now you're at 6:30, 7 o'clock. You're not going to bed until 9:30, 10. You've got that whole stretch of time. There have been nights where we will just plop down, we'll have the TV on watching a show, but we're also on our phones scrolling. So we decided to use the month of February and all this energy we should have from the Whole30 to clean up our screen time a little bit as well. And screens, we're talking about TV, we're talking about cell phones, all of it. So I think the exception will be if we are walking on the treadmill, have at it. You can look at the screen there because it actually has a tablet built in and there's different tours. We're not going to count that as screen time. We're talking about the sedentary, just sitting there. And we were trying to find a reasonable amount of time. We wanted to make it challenging, but also reasonable for ourselves. So we came up with on the weeknights, and this is going to start, we're terrible. We're going to start at February 1st. So it's not a full 30 days, but it'll be the full month of February. We are going to limit our screen time to 1 hour per day per weeknight. So that means that cell phones are only going to be out for an hour. TV is only going to be on for an hour. And we were kind of talking and brainstorming about some of the things we could do. We have some projects, ideas in the house that kind of were exciting. We have some games we got for Christmas that we haven't done, and just things like that. So we're like, okay, we're kind of feeling excited. Like if we make ourselves turn off the TV, there's all these other things we can do. On the weekends, we did ease up a little bit, and we decided to give ourselves 2.5 hours, which seems like a random number, but we like to a lot of nights have a little bit of a movie night, and movies end up being a little over 2 hours sometimes. So we got 2.5 so we can watch a whole movie. And of course, we like to catch a little bit of the news and things in the morning. The other thing that I will not count in the screen time for us is, I mentioned our church is online. Most of the time now we are going in person, but if for some reason we need to watch online, I'm not going to count that screen time because we'd be sitting in church versus sitting watching a sermon. So that is our second goal for the month. I did not get a calendar for February to track that. Nate and I are going to hold each other accountable, and we'll maybe just make a note on our phone, because my goal is to come back Now, again, I will see you in this video series at the beginning of March, going to be recapping how everything went on the whole 30, hopefully going to be reporting that we hit the screen time goal. I will say too that, you know, while that 80-20 is still in the back of my mind, I want to try to hit that screen goal 100% of the month. But again, if we hit 80%, we'll consider it a win or an improvement on these long winter evenings, but those are our goals. So I will see you again in this video series in March, recapping all of that, announcing what our goal is for March. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate having you here. Leave me a comment below and let me know if you are working on any goals in 2022. I would love to hear from you. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.